So now what we have to do is check whether the input is correct, whether it's A, B, C, or D. And since it's already capital, I only have to check for the capital. So if the single answer is not equal to A and single answer is not equal to B and single answer not equal to C, and finally not equal to D, single answer not equal to D. So if it's anything else but C, A, B, C, or D, then we have a problem. That's an invalid input. So we will inform the user. We will do system.out.print, not print line, just print, and over here we will do invalid input, and maybe please re-enter your answer. Actually, it could be a print line. It doesn't matter really. Come to think of it, except I have the parentheses wrong. All right, so I mean the double quotes. So we have our prompt, and now we get the new answer, right? So we will go and if this is true, we wanna return back over here, and basically we will say invalid input, please re-enter your question, and it comes up here again and says please enter your answer to the question, and it's the same question still because the answer was wrong before. Then we go over it again, and when we check it again, this way the user cannot enter anything else. No invalid input will be ever entered or accepted because it will loop until the input is correct, and it will loop. If you have the do, it will loop while the wrong answer, in other words, while the wrong answer is true. Now we set it up to false here because we assume it's gonna be correct. But if it comes over here and evaluates correctly, it says, yeah, one of the answers was wrong, then we need to set the wrong answer equals true, because yeah, there was a wrong answer. So it comes over here, it sets it to true. So this condition is still true, so it doesn't exit the loop. Instead, it comes over here again and continues the input, and then checks the input again. So this is the easiest way to do the do while loop. Are probably the easiest way to kind of validate the input before it's being passed in between the variables, or in our cases in our arrays. So so after the for loop, we have all the 20 answers. So what are we gonna do with those? Well, we after each answer is being entered and validated, if it's correct, then we can come over here now after the do while loop, and we already know now we can actually make sure that this is I mean, we know that the answer is being valid, not that it's correct, but it's A, B, C, or D. So now we can check it against our correct answer to validate whether it's actually a correct answer or not. So we can do if our correct answers with the index of I, we're still within the for loop, remember? So if that I, the index in the correct answer, is not the same as the single answer, in other words, the character stored in the single answer does not match the one correct character that is stored for that answer in our array. So if they're basically if they're different, then we have the user entered incorrect answer. So we're going to store it. We're going to do the incorrect answers, and we'll put it into whatever index is currently being executed in our for loop, because that matches the index that the correct answer has. So we can now compare also incorrect answer I should match correct answer I. If it doesn't, then it's a wrong answer. We know that it's and we know the number of the answer, which is the index. So we will simply assign it the single answer. So now the index of the incorrect answers will store the what number, what question we answered wrong, and the character assigned to that index will basically store our answer which was wrong, so that we can use it in our output later. Okay, so that's the and we can actually, since we have the wrong answers counter, we need to we can as well increase it by 1, and that way at the end of the for loop we will have our incorrect answers complete, we will have our wrong answers counter, we will know how many answers were answered incorrectly, and we will be ready to output everything. So I will do wrong answers counter plus plus. I'll simply increase it by 1. So when it comes to here into this condition and it's true, then it will store the incorrect answer and it will increase our counter by 1. Alright, so after a for loop we can well, first let's do the scan close, because we will not do we don't need any more input from the user. All we need now is to basically just start outputting things. So we will do system.out.println, and we need to figure out whether the user passed or not. If there were 5 or more answers incorrect, then the user failed, otherwise the user passed. So normally you would go and do if the I don't know, the wrong answers counter is I don't know, we could do it one way or the other. We can count the incorrect answer or the correct answer. So if the wrong answer counter is greater or equal to 5, in other words, if more than 5 or more questions were answered incorrectly, then system.printout you have failed, because there were more, you answered too many questions incorrectly, else you passed. Now this is one way to do it, but let me just show you a little trick how to put it kind of a little into more compact syntax. So we have our system.out.println, and in it we will write the so-called ternary conditional operator. So it's an inline conditional operator. Like instead of going to the if and else statement, you can do something like this. Is the wrong answers counter greater or equal to 5? That's the syntax. And if it is, then you failed. So you output into the system.printout line, you will output, sorry, you have failed. But if it's not, then you'll output, we can do congratulations, you have passed. And this is nice if else statement directly in our system.out.println. So basically, like I said, you're asking, is the wrong answer counter greater than 5? If it is, if it's true, then this is the output, sorry, you have failed, into our system.println. But if it's not true, if less than 5 questions were answered incorrectly, then you output, congratulations, you have passed. Alright, so that's that will output our whether we passed or not. Now we can output you know, what questions were wrong. So we can do system.out.println, something like you have answered, and how many questions correctly. Well, we have 20 questions, and we stored how many were incorrect into our wrong answer counter. So we have our 20 questions, but instead of 20, let's do the size, because that's the constant for the number of questions, minus, I'll just put it in a parentheses, minus the wrong answers counter. So 20 minus whatever we answered wrong gives us how many questions were answered correctly. So you have answered this many questions correctly, and how many questions were answered incorrectly? Well, those are stored into the wrong answer counter. So this many questions incorrectly. So this is our output in one sentence. I think I misspelled that. So that's for the how many questions. So we failed or passed, how many questions correctly, how many questions incorrectly, and now the number of questions, or the question numbers that were answered incorrectly. So and for that I'm going to do a for loop again. So I will do for integer I equals 0, I is less than size, and I plus plus. I'm just gonna loop through my array of incorrect answers and display which ones, answers are stored in that array. So we will do if the incorrect answers of the index of I does not equal to null, which the character for null is U 0 0 0 0. So if this is if it's not, remember we didn't initialize it, the incorrect answers. We simply declared a new answer, new array of characters, and by default the characters are this, which is null. There's nothing there, but it's not empty, it's not a space or anything like that. This is simply a special character for the non-existent character, so to speak, in the array when it's not initialized. So because remember, if it has anything than this, then it means it was populated over here, that we actually entered the character, the wrong answer character, into the array. But if it's empty, then that particular question was answered correctly, and it was not stored into incorrect answers array. So, but in other words, if it's populated with actual character, then it's an incorrect answer. If it is not populated with an actual character, then it was a correct answer, and it's not being stored into our incorrect answers array. So over here we will do system.out.print line, and we can do you answered question number, and we can display the actual question. Remember, it's I plus 1 because we start from 0 incorrectly. So this is the what question number was answered incorrectly. And we can go further, and we can actually do something like your answer was, and we can actually type what the answer was. All right, we can do, and the answer was whatever is stored into our incorrect answers of I. And after that we can do, but the correct answer is, and it's the same index of I, but instead of incorrect answers array, we will use the correct answers. And I will just end it with a period, since I'm making sentences here. And that's really all. Now, again, this is basically go, check if the incorrect answers is being stored and in the incorrect answers array, and then it will output that number, which is I plus 1, the character that is being stored in that index, which is the answer that we provided but was incorrect, and then we will output the correct answer, which is parallel with the incorrect answers when it comes to the index, but it's using the correct answers array now. So let's run it. Let's see what we get. Alright, let me move this up because it's a console. So please enter question or number 1. So let me do B. Let me do D, A, and 5 I will do wrong. So B, D, A, and the correct answer is C. I will do D. And then I will do A, B, A, C. And then 10 is D, but I will do, I don't know, A, doesn't matter. So then B, C, D, A. And then correct answer is D, and I will do B again or something. And finally C, C, B, D, and correct answer is A. And if you can see it, correct answer is A for the last question, but I will do B. And you can see that I have a lowercase, but when I press enter, here you go. Congratulations, you have passed. You have answered 4 questions incorrectly, every 5th one. So you have 5. You can see 5, 10, 15, and 20. And you can check what the ABC. I entered D, correct question was C. I entered A, correct question was D. I entered B, correct question was D. And the last, I entered B, but the correct question was A. So yeah, it's working. We got 4 incorrectly. Now if I run it again, let me just do some random. So I will not pass. A, C, B, D, B, C, D, A. It's like a song. Alphabet song. A very short one though. And here it is, the output. You cannot see the whole thing, but basically it will say, alright, I got 2 questions correctly, 18 incorrectly, I have failed. So here's what I did wrong. Now let me actually check the input. Remember, we check in, make sure that it's A, B, C, or D. So if I enter, let's say Q, it says, oh, invalid input, please re-enter your answer, and it repeats the question. Please enter your the prompt. Please enter your answer to question number 1. Now, then if I enter something like, I don't know, A, Q, it will actually accept it because the first letter is the only thing that it's looking at. So if it says, okay, you entered A, basically that's what it does, and it disregards all the rest because all we're capturing is the first character. So that seems to be working as well, just fine. All right, so all right, let me recap. So we have our array of correct answers, then we have our array of incorrect answers, which is the same size as the correct answers. We do a for loop, basically getting our 20 answer input, but within it we do a while loop to make sure that our input is correct. That is, we will enter the prompt, we will enter the user answer, and then we check that answer, make sure that it's A, B, C, or D. Before that, we will capitalize the user input. We will also make sure that only the first character is being captured. And if it's A, B, C, or D, then this is skipped and the while loop exits. And then we will simply check whether it actually was a correct answer by matching the index of correct answer with the single answer variable which holds the character that the user entered. If it was correct, it goes back to for loop and continues for the next question. If it was incorrect, it will enter that question or the answer into our incorrect answers array and increase our wrong answers counter that holds the total of wrongly answered questions. And then it goes back to over here for the next question. Now if the user answers the wrong input, if it's not A, B, C, or D, then we will prompt the user that invalid input was entered, and then we will set the wrong answer boolean to true, So when it comes over here, it says, oh, it's still true, so let's do another do while loop. So it comes over here and repeats the process. Once all the questions are answered, whether correctly or incorrectly, but I mean they have to be answered as A, B, C, or D. Then we will close the inputs to scanner, and we will simply output whether the user passed or not based on the ternary operator, based on whether the user answered 5 or more questions incorrectly. We also output the how many questions were answered correctly and how many incorrectly, and then in our last for loop we will output all the incorrect answers and match them with what the correct answers were. So that would be our final output. Alright, so I hope you liked the video. I hope it was helpful, that you learned something new. If you did, please leave a like, leave a comment, share with your friends, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.